Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Change is the only constant, and it is leading to compelling changes in the way people are managed in an organization. It becomes the need of the day to find a synergy between change and personnel management. The first panel discussion of the day aims at shedding lights on the needs of change and its impact. The discussion aims to explore the importance of ensuring stability during the time of transformation by engaging people throughout the process. The topic for the discussion: leading people through change.
To begin with, we now invite our distinguished panel. I request Mr. Shibu Rafael, moderator for the panel discussion, to please come up on stage. Sir joined Deloitte in October 2011 as Vice President. He leads strategic talent business advisory services in specific service lines, including workplace services, finance, strategy and brand, and sales and marketing. Sir has around 20 years of professional experience across India, US, Canada, and Mexico. Before joining Deloitte, he was the head of human capital at Marlabs Inc., based in New Jersey. Prior to this, he worked for Birlasoft in US and Vodafone in India. Sir has a deep understanding of the talent function in the telecom, information technology, and services domains. His areas of interest in HR include global cross-teaming, leadership development, cross-cultural orientation, and conflict resolution. We welcome you, sir, to Connexion 13.
Moving on, we would like to invite on stage Ms. Shweta Srivastav, Head of Talent Acquisition and Business HR, Indus Towers. Ma'am brings with her 14 years of diverse experience across IT and telecom sectors. Most recently, she was associated with United Health Group, leading overall talent acquisition for all UHG locations in India, and also supported specific hiring initiatives across APAC. Previously, ma'am was at Qualcomm, and she was responsible for executive hiring pan-India, and also led university relations internationally. Prior to this, ma'am was associated with organizations like Motorola India, GEMS India, and also at Ericsson India. At Ericsson India, ma'am was responsible for recruitment of technical and non-technical resources for India and Sri Lanka. We welcome you, ma'am, to Connexion 13.
Next, I would like to invite on stage Mr. Isaac Arun Kumar, Head HR, Telecom ISU, Tata Consultancy Services. Sir is a postgraduate in social work with specialization in human resources from Madras School of Social Work. He has over 14 years of experience in human resources, specializing in areas of talent engagement, workforce management, and talent development. He currently heads HR for Global Telecom Business Unit at Tata Consultancy Services and is involved in developing HR-aligned business strategies and organization development. Earlier, Sir was Regional HR Head for South of Europe, based out of Zurich in Switzerland. He's a certified global mobility specialist given by ERI at Geneva. He's also a certified assessor on FIRO and TKI scales by OPP at Oxford. So we welcome you to Connexion 13.
I would now like to welcome on stage Mr. Sakar Anand, Vice President HR, CA Technologies. Mr. Anand, he heads Human Resources for CA Technologies India. Sir has been involved in various employee engagement and recruitment initiatives, and also enhanced the Total Rewards program that has helped CA India clinch top honors. Sir is also the proud recipient of the HR Leadership Award presented by the Employer Branding Institute for Excellence in Talent Management, HR Strategy, Application of IT, Innovation in Recruitment, Innovation in Retention Strategy, Innovation in Career Development, and Global HR Strategy. Sir has over 17 years of experience in information technology, handling software development and delivery from global locations. working on domains like retail banking, credit cards, inventory management, stock management, and after sales delivery. Sir, we welcome you to Connection 13.
Next, I would like to invite on the panel Ms. Sushma Kulkarni, Associate Vice President, HR, Gensa Technologies. Currently, ma'am is the head for the L&OD function at Zensar. At Zensar, ma'am has held diverse HR portfolios, including head HR business process outsourcing, head human resource strategic services, group and corporate functions, and head HR at Hyderabad location. Ma'am, we welcome you to Connection 13.
I now call on stage the next member of the panel, Ms. Rajani Atreya, Head of Human Resources, Thomson Reuters Private Limited. Ma'am has extensive business and HR experience in the financial services sector across ANZ Greenlace Bank, Standard Chartered Bank, and Standard Chartered Securities India. In her career spanning 20 years, ma'am has held several country lead positions in HR, both in business partnership as well as product ownership roles. She has extensive M&A and integration experience, as well as with hands-on exposure to driving large-scale organizational restructure and change management. Ma'am has partnered several businesses and country leadership teams in driving change and leading transformation, and has also led cross-geography initiatives with international teams. Ma'am, we are honored to have you at Connection 13.
Our final panelist is Mr. Chintamani Lime, Regional HR Head, Sony. Sir has over 6 years of industry experience across different verticals, including pharmaceuticals and consumer electronics. Sir is an MBA in HR from Balaji Center for Human Resource Development and currently is the Regional HR Head of Sony for Western Region. Sir, we are honored to have you at Connection 13. I now hand over the proceeding to Mr. Shibu Rafael, moderator of the panel discussion.
Okay, am I audible? Okay, great. So when you heard something about myself, they talked about conflict management and resolution, right? So that's why I've been put as a moderator. But seriously, it's a real pleasure to be here at Symbiosis and here with a great panel of industry heads in the HR function. It's really a privilege to be here because the type of talent that you have in this conference room is part of what is going to build the next generation, I would say, of leaders. All of you want to be leaders, right? Yes, sir. Very good. Okay, great. So, very different sort of backgrounds all of you have got. Some of you are engineers, some of you are non-engineers. Some of you are in the first year, right? Yes, sir. How many of you are in the first year MBA? Wow, okay. And second years? Okay, so you have more first years than second years? Okay. So how many people have come out of the SITM campus to just come for this particular program? Just raise your hands. Oh, very nice. Great, thank you. And it's a privilege for me to be here, as well as our great panel here to be here and talk to you, share our thoughts in terms of experience. All of us were in the same sort of situation as you were, probably 15 years back, 20 years back, and so on. So feel free to interact with us during this discussion as well as later on also. The format of this panel discussion, all of you know what is the theme or topic? Leading people through change. What a wonderful topic, right? Do you agree? Okay, great. So you need to know and clarify a lot of things that you may have when the discussion is going on, right? So the format of the discussion which we are proposing is essentially we will start off with a few basic questions with regard to change to our panelists. And probably after around 30, 40 minutes, we will throw it open to all of you to ask questions to the panelists. And then again continue the discussion with the panelists and then have another Q&A session at the end of the larger session. Is that fine? Yes, sir. Okay, great. Okay, so leading people through change. This is something very, very important due to various reasons. Let's try to understand from our panelists, why is this topic so hot? Why did SITM really even think of having a subject like this? Are organizations changing and evolving and revolutionizing in terms of change management today out there in industry? Let's ask our panelists, and I would request if we can start off in any order, but any volunteers to start off with regard to the question, why is this topic so hot? Yeah, sure.
Growth implies change, and we need to break the status quo to grow. So we all are in business and in our personal lives to grow. So implicit in growth is change. So we need to be ready for change at any point in time and be resilient and adaptive to the environment and circumstances.
Great. So essentially, growth is so important, and to grow, change is important. Chintu?
See, today we all are sitting in a B school, okay, and we had some perceptions in our mind. In 10th standard, we thought of becoming a doctor. 12th standard, we thought of, no, doctor is not possible. We need to change. Our scores are low. So every time we were thinking of development of self. And so is the case of the organization. In today's scenario, when globalization is into picture, every multinational companies are into India. And we are talking about FDIs, FIIs, all the things. So today the change is vital. And to change an organization, people are more important. And hence this topic would have been over there.
So let me ask a question. You said new companies are coming in to India, and therefore change is important. It is imperative. Can you explain to us about that, Chintu?
Yeah. See, whenever any new company enters a country, it brings with them their own culture. They need to adapt to the culture. Okay. So is the employee to the culture of the work environment of that organization. Say, for example, there are many companies, maybe Japanese or maybe Korean company, who are highly process-oriented. Okay? People have to adapt to that. Well, there are some IT companies who are American-based. They are not that much process, but they are more result-oriented.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you.
I just had a thought.
Yes, I said.
I see it like this. I see it as, they have this saying, change before change changes you.
Yeah.
So the whole thing about need for change, I feel, itself is late for change. In the sense like today, it is very critical to anticipate change. And I think the whole relevance of the topic like this for students like you is because as the future business advisors in the industry or as future managers in the industry, can you anticipate the change which the customer will experience?
Okay, sure.
Yeah. How relevant, how ready are you to understand what the global changes that are happening, the customer experiential changes that are happening is very key. So therefore I feel that can I, like what ma'am said about growth, can I anticipate future in terms of change is very key for the audience here. That's why I feel this topic becomes relevant.
So the students clearly are the threshold of a career, and they really need to know and understand what are the changes happening in industry today.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, great, wonderful.
I want to just add on there, and I just want to draw from what Sushma you said. Change is fundamental to growth. I mean, we cannot grow unless we change. So, we've learned in our lower classes, we talk about metamorphosis of a butterfly. As the butterfly grows, it changes its form and shape. It's so fundamental. We all change as individuals as we grow from infancy to childhood to adulthood to old age. We change. We change physically, mentally, emotionally. So it is fundamental. And more so, this is when we talk about personal change, let's look outside. Let's look at the economy. What's the rupee dollar rate today? 65. What was it maybe a year ago? Not so less, it was not 48. It was at 48 at some point in time. It was hovering in the range of 55, 54, 56. In a matter of 8 to 12 months, we have seen this, volcanic change. How else would you describe it? And how can we, as professionals, and I would include you, even though you're students, you are on the threshold of getting into a professional life, how can we adapt ourselves to this ever-changing environment and be ready for it and take advantage of it? Hence, a forum like this is extremely critical, and even the afternoon's topic of being an agile organization, how do you enhance agility in organizations, is very, very linked to this.
Right.
That's
Sure.
my perception.
Thank you, Rajni.
So to me, I think the world's just becoming a much smaller place. And as we come together, the need for change increases because we can no longer work in silo, we can no longer work in our own boundaries. It has to become more boundaryless. And having larger horizons is something which imperatively brings in change within the organization, within people, and within the overall culture.
Sure.
So if you remember the times of just the Indian industries and the way we were working, there's a paradigm shift to how we work, how we even select people, or how we even study, and the curriculum designs for that matter. So I think all of this together is just for us to bring into the same threshold across the globe.
Sure, great. Any thoughts, Sakar?
Yeah, sure. So I'll just build on to what Shweta just said. See, change management as a subject has been taught in corporates for almost 17, 18 years now. I'll go back to 1996 when a company like General Electric was led by the dynamic CEO, Jack Welch. And he said that the world around me is changing. And if I'm not a step ahead of this change, I'll become extinct.
Yeah.
So what he did was he got the best 5 consultants in the world. He put them in a room and he said, give me a science that I can stay a step ahead of change. So those people were put in a room in the Corporate University of Crotonville in New York. They came back after 5 days, and Jack asked them that, what did you do for me? And they said, nothing. So he asked why, because they said change is common sense. He says, problem is that it's not common science, make it common science. So corporates made it common science over the last 15, 16 years. But the good thing is that the institutes are recognizing the need that we should bring it into the institute so that the students, when they come into the business world, they are ready to adapt change and to lead change. So we'll talk about the people aspect of the change maybe in the subsequent questions. But the fact is that it was relevant always. The good thing is that the institutes are bringing it into their curriculum right now.
Great. So I think we have a clear idea as to why this topic is so very important. I want to also ask our panelists, you know what, you've got a lot of years of experience, 10, 15, 20 years experience. And you've seen a lot of change in organizations, right? Can you give us some examples of how you had a situation in change management and how you led that change in your organizations? Could be your current organization or could be your previous organization. So that we understand what actually do we have to do as managers. And the people here in this audience are not only technology people, they are actually going to be leaders of men and women in the workplace. How do we really put some of those things into practice? So So can you tell us some personal examples, anecdotes of how you led change? Yeah, Rajini?
Okay, I'll go first. I've had the opportunity of working very closely with large-scale change management initiatives in my professional career, and I want to draw upon one such critical change management phase. This was about a decade and more ago actually, when I was employed with Grinlace Bank, and Standard Chartered Bank acquired Grinlace Bank. Does it ring a bell, or you guys were not born at that time? Maybe you were in school. So do the names ring a bell? Standard Chartered Bank, Grinlace Bank, acquisition, right. So the environment was this. Standard Chartered and Grinlace were both huge banks, equal in their own right, equally talented folks running the organization. But it was a strategic business decision that was made that Standard Chartered will acquire Grinlace Bank. What it meant in India is that we had two similar organizations, pretty much similar structures, pretty much similar kind of talent, but we had to have one organization combining a structure or having a structure which had the best from both organizations. And that had to be done in the most transparent, fair, ethical manner, but at the same time, we couldn't have two jobs because there were two organizations. At the end of the day, there was going to be only one structure with one job, typically. I mean, I'm just sort of exaggerating, but just to give you a simplistic example. So how we went about doing that? The whole premise was, communication is key. Understanding or making everyone understand the strategic rationale of why this acquisition was warranted. It's not that somebody woke up in the middle of the night someday and said that X is going to acquire Y. So that it was not that case. It was a carefully calibrated decision, and there were business realities around it. So continuous communication of the rationale, so people understood. People are not going to accept it, is something that we were really aware of. It is not easy. I mean, today, somebody gets up and tells me, you're no longer secure in your job, and somebody else also has a similar job, so therefore you have to possibly reapply for your role. I mean, every individual in the organization has to go through this kind of an environment or an emotional upheaval. It's not going to be easy. So we kept the communication simple. We kept the communication continuous. We kept reinforcing on the communication. And so first is communication. Second is empathy. I mean, large-scale restructure was involved. It was bound to be emotionally traumatic for people, and so it had to be done in an empathetic and sensitive manner. So that was a conscious decision that was made. Third, there was a conscious focus in terms of equipping people to deal with change. And that is where you made the point that universities are now alive to this concept of change and are bringing it into campuses. At that point in time, we had people who were in junior, mid, and senior levels of their career who had to deal with this kind of a huge change in their lives, right? And they didn't have possibly the benefit of having this being discussed while they were in their growth phases, while they were on campuses. So therefore, discussions like these, specific training for coping with change, dealing with change, understanding that I am going through change, it is going to be not easy for me, but I know that there is a strategic rationale around it. I've been communicated that there is going to be a structured, fair, and efficient process that's going to be dealing with change, were the continuous factors that we focused upon to drive that change.
Great. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. The Stand Chart example is so pertinent from a change management